In our ordinary world, specifically in Japan, our hero suffers from bullying and loneliness. He doesn't know how to fit in with students his age, so he decides to isolate himself from everyone. He lives alone in his room, locking himself away for 5 whole years. He thought his life would just continue with this boring routine, wasting his time playing games and watching anime, completely certain that he had no future. But suddenly, and without any warning, a miracle happens. He wakes up in a very strange and beautiful place, and finds a legendary witch in front of him who watches over different worlds. When she saw his suffering in his past life, she decided to pull him from that world and transfer him to another one where he could easily fit in with people. She compensates him for all that suffering by giving him super abilities so he can live a quiet and comfortable life in a new world where magic is everything. Without any hesitation, our hero agrees to this offer. His only dream was to live a peaceful life away from headaches, problems, and bullying. He gets ready for a new beginning full of hope and ambition to live a better life than the one he had. Our journey begins with our hero being reborn as a baby. He is surprised to find out that he isn't just a normal baby. He is actually the son of the king and queen in this world. But during the moment they check his magic level, which is the most important thing in this new world, a disaster happens. The measuring crystal they use to determine the power of children shows a very weak number, which is only 2. The king was expecting his level to be 40 or 50. This makes the king extremely angry, and he considers his son a disgrace to the royal family because his level is weaker than any random person on the street. The king and queen show no mercy at all. They cruelly order the guards to take this baby and throw him in a forest full of monsters to get rid of him completely, keeping the secret of their son's weakness buried in that forest forever. Even though our hero has the mind of a young man, his baby body stops him from talking or defending himself. He finds himself thrown among the trees, left to face his fate alone in a place with 0 chance of survival. But what the king and the guards didn't know was that the number on the crystal wasn't his real level at all. The crystal was old and designed to show only 2 digits. His actual level was 1002. This is a terrifying power that no one else in the entire world possesses or could even imagine. While our hero is thrown in the forest, he begins to explore the power inside him. He discovers that his main ability is barrier magic. This magic isn't just a shield to protect him, he can shape it however he wants and create barriers of any size and with any features. He starts testing his abilities and creates a clear barrier that lets him fly in the air and see the whole forest from above. He feels a great sense of relief because he finally has a superpower to protect him and let him live safely without needing to depend on anyone or fear the forest monsters. However, while he is exploring his powers and flying in the air, he feels danger approaching. Suddenly, a giant monster appears in the shape of a terrifying red wolf. This wolf wasn't just a normal monster, it was a type of demon known as the boss of the forest, famous for its massive power and the fact that no one could stand against it. The wolf fiercely attacks our flying baby hero, thinking he is just an easy meal. But our hero, very calmly and without any fear, uses his magic barriers. He creates a protective shield around himself to block the wolf and starts hitting it with a large number of barrier cubes. The effect isn't very strong, so he uses his barrier magic to lift a group of forest trees and throws them at the wolf. The wolf still manages to get back on its feet. The baby then increases his attack, lifting a giant chunk of the island's ground and throwing it at the wolf. At that moment, the wolf speaks and announces its surrender. It confesses to the baby that it isn't a normal wolf, but a very powerful female demon named Flay. Because he managed to defeat her, she decides to become his servant for the rest of her life. At this moment, the baby uses a barrier cube on himself to translate his thoughts into words and supports his tongue to say them out loud. He is actually able to speak and tells her that he needs her help. Even though he has massive power, his body is still not ready to live alone without anyone's help. At this time, Flay can't believe the amount of magical energy coming out of him and suspects that he might be the demon lord. She agrees to be his servant, and to be able to take good care of him, she transforms into a human form. While Flay is trying to take care of the baby and look for food, a strange man appears in the forest. This man is Gold Zenfis, the king's brother and the baby's uncle. However, he is a very kind man. Unlike his brother, when he finds out that his nephew will be thrown in the forest because of his weak magic level, he feels really bad for him. He decides to go immediately and take him to raise him in his own home, far away from the cruelty of the royal palace, to give him a chance at a normal life. At this moment, the baby is very happy and tells Flay to accept the offer. Zenfis takes Flay with him when he notices how attached she is to the baby. Even though he is not totally comfortable with her being a demon, he knows she will protect the child. Before they leave, Zenfis breaks the baby's bed and leaves a trace of blood so people will think he died. He decides to name him Haruto, and just like that, Haruto finds a new family that loves him and provides him with the peaceful life he always dreamed of. After 9 whole years, we see him grown up, but he still spends his life alone in his room. However, in this quiet life, he faces a small problem, which is his adopted sister, Charlotte. Charlotte is a very cute girl, but she always avoids Haruto and stays away from him whenever she sees him. Haruto feels that she is scared of him and thinks she hates him because he is introverted and stays in his room all the time. His adoptive mother comes and asks him to try and get closer to Charlotte, explaining that she doesn't actually hate him, she just doesn't know how to deal with him. She tells him that they will love each other if he gives it a chance. She advises him to spend more time with Charlotte instead of staying locked up in his room. Haruto plays along and promises her that he will do that, but he knows his introverted nature will never let him. It gets to the point where he uses his magic power to create a clone of himself, making it responsible for dealing with people instead of him, so he can live his life however he wants in the quiet of his room. But something unexpected happens. Haruto is surprised when his father calls for him. When he goes to him, his father says he will train him in sword fighting instead of him just sitting in his room. Haruto replies that he stays in his room to study magic and develop his power, not just sitting around with no purpose, but his father convinces him to try sword fighting, saying he might have a talent for it without knowing. Haruto uses a barrier to support his physical abilities and attacks his father with a wooden training sword. The attack is very fierce, so the father praises him for his great strength. He then tells Haruto that it's his turn to dodge and hits him with a strong sword strike. Haruto jumps extremely high and dodges the attack. The father is shocked and wonders how that is possible, saying it is impossible for anyone under level 30 to dodge his attacks. Haruto gets curious too and decides to test himself with a new magic crystal, the biggest one in his world, which can show 3 digits of a person's power level. But he still sees Worone too. At this moment, he feels very frustrated and loses hope because the highest level in this world is 77. He decides to give up and not try again, completely unaware that he is a powerhouse with a level of Dibundu. At the end of the day, the father is sitting with his wife and thinking out loud. He tells her that Haruto's abilities are very strange because he has massive energy, yet his level is only 2. He suspects that Haruto is a demon, or maybe even the Demon King, especially with Flay, his demon servant, who is strangely loyal to him. But the mother gets scared and says, "No, my son is not a demon, and he doesn't have any physical demon features like horns or a tail." She asks him not to think about this anymore. However, he can't get the idea out of his head. What they didn't realize was that Charlotte was sitting there and listening to everything they said. This makes her even more afraid of Haruto, but it also sparks her curiosity. Now, she wants to interact with him more to discover his secrets and get to know him better. One day, without any warning, a problem disrupts Haruto's new peaceful life. The Zenfis Kingdom faces a sudden attack from a group of professional bandits trying to spread chaos and steal resources. This attack leaves many Zenfis soldiers badly injured. As soon as Haruto hears what happened, he leaves his room to check on his father. His father tells him that they faced a fierce attack, and when he realized the casualties would be too high, retreating was the best decision. They plan to ask for backup, gather more soldiers, and return to wipe out all those bandits. At this moment, Haruto gets extremely angry. He walks among the soldiers and secretly uses his barrier magic on all of them, healing them one by one. He restores the army to its full strength, leaving everyone completely amazed and confused, not understanding what is happening or who is healing them. Suddenly, Haruto, whose only goal was to stay asleep in his bed without anyone bothering him, decides to step in his own way without anyone noticing. He uses his barrier magic to create floating magic monitor screens in the air. This allows him to see every inch of the kingdom just like watching a movie in his room. Once he pinpoints the bandits' locations, he decides to finish them off. Haruto goes with his servant Flay to investigate the matter and find out who is behind this attack and why they targeted their kingdom. As soon as he arrives, Haruto uses his barrier magic to freeze them all in place. He pressures one of the bandits to talk and confess everything. They discover that these are not just normal bandits, they are hired thugs from another empire. Their goal is to weaken the Zenfis Kingdom and cause unrest inside it. After learning the truth, Haruto orders Flay to kill them anyway and burn down their entire fort. He wants to make them an example for anyone who even thinks about attacking their kingdom. However, Haruto faces another unexpected problem. His adopted sister, Charlotte. She goes to talk to Flay and tells her, "I saw you and Haruto flying out of the window at night, but when I went to Haruto's room, I found him fast asleep in his bed." Flay tries to calm her down, saying that these are just illusions that kids often get, but Charlotte doesn't believe her. She wants to get to know Haruto more. She starts watching him, and her curiosity makes her follow him everywhere to discover the secrets of his power. Haruto notices this, but lets her do whatever she wants, knowing she is just an innocent child and poses no danger at all. While Haruto is sleeping, an alarm on one of his monitoring screens goes off. He wakes up immediately to see what is happening and is shocked. The carriage carrying his mother and sister on their way to visit a neighboring kingdom is under a fierce attack. All their guards are killed, leaving only his mother and Charlotte facing these bandits. The mother quickly picks up Charlotte and runs away here. Haruto uses his magic to guide Charlotte to the place where they should hide. Consequently, Charlotte guides her mother. The mother doesn't know who is guiding them, but she has no other way to survive except to listen. They finally reach a massive cave. The mother puts Charlotte inside and tells her not to be afraid, saying she will go check if they are safe and come back. Charlotte is naturally very terrified and begs her mother not to leave her, but there is no other solution. The mother steps out of the cave, surprised to find a magic portal hiding the true existence of the cave. Suddenly, she finds the bandits standing right behind her. She hears their leader saying they want the girl, ordering his men to pressure the mother and torture her until she confesses the girl's location. At this exact moment, the mother pulls out her dagger, points it at her neck, and decides to end her life to protect her daughter. But Haruto arrives right on time and blows up her dagger. Overcome by extreme fear, she faints. Unfortunately for the bandits, Haruto is absolutely furious because of what they did, and with a single strike, he blows them all far away. He enters the cave to leave his mother there and escape quickly to find someone to help them. So no one discovers his true power, but Charlotte notices him right away, confronts him, and asks, "Are you the awaited hero of justice that the legends talk about?" Haruto is surprised, but he likes her story. He tells her that he is indeed that hero, and that he has a special power that chose him to be the hero of justice who fights villains in secret and protects the innocent. He asks her to keep this a complete secret, explaining that if anyone knew his identity, villains would target the whole family and they could get hurt because of him. Charlotte believes every single word and is overjoyed that her big brother turned out to be a legendary hero fighting against injustice. She promises to be his ally, to help him in his missions, and to keep his secret. From this moment on, their relationship grows much stronger. Charlotte sticks to him all the time, fascinated by everything he does. The father and mother notice the sudden change in their relationship, but are just completely happy that they are finally getting along. But after Haruto managed to convince his sister Charlotte with the hero of justice story, which reassures her and makes her feel safe with him, a new problem begins that threatens his comfortable routine that he is used to. Charlotte starts visiting him in his room every day without even knocking, sitting and talking with him for hours. When he sleeps, she waits for him to wake up just to continue talking with him. Haruto, whose only dream in life is to keep sleeping without anyone bothering him, feels extremely exhausted from her endless energy. While talking with her, he tells her that he is studying magic and looking for a magic book called the Ancient Magic Book. He learns from Charlotte that the book is in the kingdom's library. When he gets it from there, he discovers after many experiments that he can use his barrier magic in an innovative way to create a flat, transparent screen in the air, exactly like a TV or a tablet from his old world. He also manages to connect it to the servers of his old world. He uses the screen to show the anime episodes he loved watching in the past. He thinks this is a smart way to distract Charlotte from him without making her sad. When she enters the room and sees the moving pictures and cheerful colors for the first time in her life, she is totally amazed and sits watching with intense focus as if she is spelled here. Haruto is very happy, feeling a sense of victory inside. He feels he finally found the magical solution that will make her focus on the screen and let him sleep comfortably and enjoy his laziness. But Haruto's genius plan backfires and shocks him. He finds out that Charlotte has fallen in love with anime to the point that she asks him to show her more episodes every day, becoming obsessed with these stories. The biggest and scariest surprise for him is that she doesn't understand the Japanese language, but to understand the anime, she managed with her super intelligence to learn the letters and the whole language in just 2 hours. Haruto stands amazed by his sister's genius, realizing she isn't just a normal child. She is a miracle child whose brain absorbs information at lightning speed. Despite this, the anime idea succeeds in distracting her from him a little bit and gives him a chance to rest on his bed. One day, the father leaves and says goodbye to his family to lead his soldiers in a fierce battle where they will try to kill a group of dangerous thieves. Charlotte is very scared for her father because of this mission, so she goes to Haruto and suggests that he goes with them to help in the battle. But Haruto tells her that, just as he said before, he can never reveal his identity and power. Charlotte tells him that he can make a disguise like the ones in anime, and with it, he can hide his identity and fight the villains. Haruto uses his power to make an armored superhero suit and a mask that completely covers his face to hide his identity. He listens to Charlotte's words and flies to the thieves' location. As soon as he gets there, the thieves are surprised by his appearance and go to attack him. However, he manages to hit them one after another with total ease until he defeats them all. But what he didn't expect was the sudden arrival of the soldiers led by his father. Zenfis goes to him, thanking him for defeating the thieves, and asks about his true identity. Haruto doesn't have an answer ready for this question, but he says, "I'm the enforcer of justice." Zenfis asks him, "Are you the one who saved my wife and daughter?" Haruto replies, "I save a lot of people. It's hard to remember. But all I can tell you is that I don't pose any danger to you, and I'm here only to achieve justice." He cuts the conversation short, leaves him, flies away, and disappears completely, leaving Zenfis with many questions. A few days later, his father calls for him and the rest of the family to inform them that very important guests are coming to visit their palace today. Haruto tries to make his clone meet them instead, but the clone is so similar to him that he refuses. The clone tells Haruto to go down himself because he doesn't like dealing with people either. So Haruto goes to meet Princess Marianne and the young Prince Laius from the royal family ruling the kingdom. Of course, Haruto knows very well that they are actually his real siblings from his father and mother who threw him in the forest a long time ago. But he brilliantly acts like he knows nothing about this matter, getting ready to welcome them while feeling very annoyed by this new headache that will delay his relaxation. As soon as the guests arrive at the palace and enter through the door, Princess Marianne shows great manners, treating everyone with respect and humility, and thanks them for the reception. But Prince Laius is the complete opposite. He acts with arrogance and pride, as if he is better and more important than anyone else there, looking at people with contempt and aggression. He looks at Haruto and tells him, "You must be the weak orphan child with level 2 power that Zenfis adopted." Deep down, Haruto doesn't care about his words because, to him, Laius is really just a little kid. But the arrogant Laius decides to show off his power in front of his sister and the rest of the family. He requests a magic duel with Haruto in the palace's training ground. Zenfis tries to avoid the situation in every way to prevent his son from being embarrassed, but Laius insists. He arrogantly says that he will go easy on him and won't hurt him too much since his level is very weak. The duel actually begins, and Laius wastes no time starting to attack fiercely, but Haruto dodges his strikes. However, Haruto gets bored and purposely lets Laius hit him just so this battle can end. But when he sees Laius insulting him badly, he gets angry, spins quickly, hits him on the head with the sword, and knocks him to the ground. Laius gets furious, gets up, and shoots a powerful explosive fireball at Haruto, but he blocks it with total ease, surprised. He shoots many fireballs in a row at Haruto, imagining that they are enough to kill him. But Haruto stays standing in his place without moving a single step, with an expression full of boredom and complete coldness. His invisible barrier magic easily blocks all the fireballs, as if they are hitting a solid wall and vanishing into the air without leaving a single trace. Laius is shocked and can't believe his eyes when he finds that his destructive attack has absolutely no effect on Haruto. Here, Haruto tells him, "You're done. Now it's my turn to attack." He summons all the fireballs that Laius shot at him, gathers them together, and creates one massive fireball. This terrifies Laius, making him surrender immediately, and thus, Haruto becomes the winner. After the fight ends, Princess Marianne steps in right away, interrupting the scene. She approaches Haruto and bows to him with deep respect to apologize for all the annoyance and trouble her brother caused them in their home. Haruto feels relieved that this drama is finally over. At the same time, Haruto worries a little that he might have drawn too much attention to his true power in front of the royal family members. He also wonders how Laius knows the truth about him being a level 2, and asks himself if the king and queen tried to look for him after throwing him away. But he stops caring afterward and says it doesn't matter anyway. They threw him away and he will never leave Zenfis after he raised him all this time. A few days later, Charlotte is watching the city through Haruto's magical monitoring screens. She spots a group of thieves stealing things and trying to escape, so she quickly warns Haruto to go and stop them. At this time, Flay appears and offers to go on this mission and catch them instead of him. But Haruto refuses, saying he can take her with him on one condition: she must control her temper and not be violent in the fight, so things can go smoothly. Flay agrees to this condition and the two go together to take down these thieves. As soon as they arrive, the thieves are surprised by the appearance of Haruto, who tells them that the Black Knight has arrived to achieve justice and punish them for their actions. But suddenly, Flay appears from behind the thieves, startling them, and they find themselves surrounded. The thieves are confused and do not know who these people are, but Flay gives them no chance and starts attacking them with her fiery magic. Haruto is very surprised by her behavior and blames her for burning them even though they agreed on no violence. But Flay is too excited and continues her attack, to the point that Haruto is forced to cast a protective barrier around the thieves to block her attacks. He hits her on the head and reminds her of their agreement. Flay apologizes to him, saying she got angry because they are his enemies and she could not control herself. But Haruto gets annoyed with her, declaring that her role is over, and tells her to leave the place so he can handle the situation himself. Thus, Haruto successfully saves the day as usual. The next day, Haruto is watching his screens and sees a group of mages standing in a giant magic circle, summoning something strange. Haruto does not think twice and flies quickly to interrupt this summoning session to see what they are doing. As soon as the mages see him, they are surprised by his sudden appearance and decide to finish him off. They use their magic to summon an entire army of skeletons, but Haruto defeats this army with total ease, stacking them on top of each other as if they were nothing. The mages are forced to use their backup plan and summon a giant, armored rock monster. The monster attacks Haruto, who creates a magical protective shield to block the strike, but but the monster's power is so massive that the hit sends Haruto flying far away. Here, Haruto realizes that this monster is stronger than he imagined. He uses his intelligence to analyze the opponent and notices a strange red spot on the monster's chest, acting as its power source. Without wasting time, Haruto flies, summons a sharp rock, and throws it with all his might at the red spot. The spot absorbs the hit, and suddenly the monster loses consciousness and looks at the ground for a few seconds. Then it stands up again, but this time it is under Haruto's control, not the mage's. Haruto orders the monster to attack the mages who summoned it, successfully defeating them, and also uses the skeleton army to tie the mages up and completely paralyze their movement. After Haruto takes control of the situation, he decides to interrogate them. He creates a giant hole, gathers all the mages inside except for their leader, and starts burying them. He tells the leader that he will bury them alive if he does not tell the truth and reveal their main goal. Under pressure, the leader breaks down and confesses that they work for the queen. He admits that the queen is the one who sent them to summon many monsters and destroy the entire kingdom. When Haruto asks him for the reason, he says that the main goal of all this chaos is to assassinate Zenfis' daughter Charlotte because her abilities and intelligence have become a real threat to the queen's throne. Haruto is completely shocked to learn that his sister Charlotte is in grave danger and that all the previous assassination attempts were orchestrated by the queen, who is actually his real mother. He realizes that his mother is power-hungry, and the most important thing to her is her position on the throne. She is willing to do anything to keep it, just like she decided to throw him away in the past when he was a baby. From this moment, he decides that he must stop her himself. The following day, Haruto goes to his adopted father Zenfis to try and get some information about the queen without drawing attention. During this conversation, his father tells him that the queen was originally a very strong knight. With her power, she managed to cut off the Demon King's head in the war led by the king. The king admired her greatly at the time and decided to marry her. Now, the king is going through a crisis and has lost his control and authority over the people. The one who is holding things together and keeping the kingdom intact is the queen, using her massive power and strong personality to protect the throne from greed. Haruto understands from these words that if the queen dies, a civil war will happen in the kingdom and the whole country will be destroyed. He realizes that he needs to fight her to protect his sister Charlotte, but at the same time, he cannot kill her, so he does not cause chaos in the kingdom, and also because she is ultimately his mother, and he does not want to reach that point. In the end, Haruto makes his final decision. He will go and confront the queen himself to put an end to all these problems and ensure that his life and his family's lives remain safe. We go to the queen, who is sitting in her palace, scolding her guards and asking them how one person managed to ruin all her plans to kill Charlotte. The guards reply that this isn't a normal person. He is a superhero people called the Black Knight, but the queen doesn't care about their words, considering them just excuses. She promises to kill this Black Knight herself with the same sword she used to kill the Demon King a long time ago. At the very moment she is speaking, Haruto suddenly appears out of nowhere and says, "You want to kill me?" The queen is terrified by his sudden appearance and orders her guards to attack him immediately. But Haruto uses his magic and drops them all to the ground in a single second. He tells her that he finally reached her. She is very surprised and asks how he managed to bypass all the magic barriers of the palace. Haruto answers coldly, saying that these barriers are silly and very weak, posing no obstacle at all for the Black Knight. The queen tells him it is clear he is actually strong like people say, but definitely not as strong as her. She uses her magic to create a magic portal beneath him that starts pumping massive amounts of water. This water forms an aura around him, trapping and floating him to keep him inside until he drowns. But Haruto uses his magic, jumps out of this aura, and escapes. So the queen creates other magic portals that shoot giant shards to cut his body into tiny pieces. But Haruto uses his magic to create a shield that protects him from all these shards. She tells him, "You turned out to be stronger than I imagined, but let's see what you will do against fire." The queen gets furious and opens another magic portal, but this time it shoots a very powerful fire that attacks him. She thinks she is finally done with him and turned him into ashes. But as soon as the fire stops, she is shocked to see Haruto standing exactly as he was, completely safe and unharmed. Here, Haruto tells her that it is his turn to strike and hits her with a very powerful magic attack. The queen realizes that he truly possesses unnatural magic power, so she decides the safest solution is to fight him with a sword. They actually get into a sword fight, but it is quite equal. The queen gets angry and tells him, "I'm the strongest human in the world at using a sword." But Haruto strikes her sword hard, knocking it out of her hand, and tells her, "Now I'm the strongest person in the world using a sword, and that is why you will never be able to defeat me." He continues talking, telling her that the time for punishment has come, and places an iron collar around her neck, similar to a slave collar. He warns her that this collar will stay on her neck, and if she tries to remove it in any way, it will cut her neck instantly. Moreover, if she even thinks about attacking Charlotte or anyone from the Zenfis family again, the collar will cut her neck right away. He assures her that this collar will stay with her until she dies, and he leaves her devastated and unable to comprehend the power of the Black Knight. After 5 whole years of complete safety and peace, with no attacks thanks to what Haruto did, the Zenfis family decides to take a trip to a snowy place for a change of scenery. There, Charlotte is very happy and enjoys playing in the snow with Flay for the first time in her life. Charlotte asks Haruto to use his magic power to make a giant ice mountain and a magic show for them. Haruto agrees and manages to create this mountain to show off his power to her. After that, the mountain crashes to the icy ground, creating a very huge hole. At this moment, his father and mother arrive and are very surprised by what happened. But Haruto uses a nice trick. He creates a clone of himself wearing the Black Knight outfit and makes it fly in front of them to distract them from what he did, telling them that the Black Knight is the one who did all of this. At this moment, his father asks to speak with him in private. He tells him that he is invited to go study at the Royal Capital Academy. Haruto replies that he doesn't like going to school and prefers isolation, asking his dad to decline this school offer just like he declined for him in the past. But his father says he actually tried to do that but couldn't refuse because this time, the invitation to attend the academy came officially from the king himself, who chose a noble to be a student at the Royal Academy. Haruto is surprised because he tries to hide his power as much as possible. Wondering how the king heard about him, Zenfis explains that during Princess Marianne's last visit, she realized the extent of his power and recommended that he must go so they can benefit from his strength, saying someone like him cannot miss the Royal Academy. Zenfis tells him the last thing he needs to know is that he needs an attendant at this academy. So he has 3 months to choose someone. Haruto gets very upset, feels all hope is completely lost, and goes up to his room feeling angry. There, he tells his clone that he will send him on this mission to the academy instead of him. When he proposes the idea, the clone refuses, saying he doesn't want to leave the room and loves being alone just like him. But Haruto orders him to go, explaining that as the real Haruto, he is very strong. So if he goes to the Royal Academy, he will stay there forever and never get out. However, the clone's power is much weaker than Haruto's real power. So when the clone goes to the academy, he will likely fail the exams and eventually get expelled from the school peacefully without any problems. Hearing this, Haruto and his clone agree on this plan, and the clone accepts to go to the school instead of him. After that, Haruto feels relieved because his clone will go instead of him. While enjoying his quiet time in his room, he remembers he needs an attendant to go with him to the academy, just like Zenfis told him. He thinks about Flay, but drops the idea because she is very annoying and won't be good for this mission. In the middle of his confusion, he receives an urgent summon from his father, Zenfis. When he goes to him, his father says that a danger is approaching the kingdom, which is a demon in the form of a giant ice dragon. He tells him that a group of adventurers tried to attack this dragon and managed to cause severe injuries to it, but it escaped from them. Zenfis asks Haruto and Flay to go investigate the situation and deal with this dragon to protect the city. But Flay completely rejects this mission, saying that when demons were at war with humans, this dragon refused to participate and withdrew from the war, and all the demons hate it. As soon as Haruto and Flay leave Zenfis' office, they are surprised by Charlotte, who is eavesdropping on them from behind the door. Charlotte asks Flay to go save this dragon from danger. She sympathizes with it a lot because she feels it is injured and the adventurers might kill it. Flay cannot refuse Charlotte's request, so they decide to move to the icy area where the dragon is. When they arrive there, Haruto uses his magical monitoring screens to locate the dragon and the adventurers. He actually finds them and sees the adventurers approaching the injured dragon, which cannot move, to finish it off. Right before the adventurers strike, Haruto and Flay step in at the perfect moment. Flay loses her temper as usual and starts attacking the adventurers with a terrifying fire attack. But Haruto quickly steps in and creates a protective shield around the adventurers so they don't die. He calms Flay down and lets the adventurers escape the place safely. After the adventurers leave, Haruto uses his magic to heal the ice dragon from its injuries. As soon as the dragon recovers its health, it suddenly gets up and uses its power to freeze Haruto completely. But Haruto breaks this ice with total ease, as if it is nothing, and suggests to the dragon that they negotiate and reach a peaceful solution. Here, the dragon surprises them and reveals that it is actually a female, not a male. She is very surprised to see a strong demon like Flay serving a normal human. She asks her for the reason behind this. Flay tells her it is because he is not a normal human. Taking this chance, she tells her Haruto's story from the very beginning to prove his massive power. She keeps talking from the morning until sunset. When the dragon hears this story, she is totally amazed and feels Haruto's true power. She decides to surrender and declare her loyalty to him to save her life and become a servant under his command. The dragon begins to tell her story to Haruto as well. She tells him that she hated wars, which is why she withdrew from the demon war and lived alone in a cave for 300 years. One day, an adventurer entered her cave, and when he saw her, he was very scared and dropped a book while running away. When she read this book, she found very entertaining human stories in it. She loved them so much that she decided to transform into a human shape and go down to the city to buy more books. She spent a long time doing this, bringing books to the cave and reading them until she had a giant library of books. But unfortunately, while she was in the cave one day, adventurers discovered her location, and she was fiercely attacked and injured. Haruto sympathizes greatly with her story, especially since she leans towards peace and isolation just like him. The dragon transforms in front of him into a beautiful human girl, joins his team, and declares her loyalty to him. Haruto decides to name her Lisa because, of course, she didn't have a name at the time, but at this moment, Flay feels extremely jealous of Lisa and tells her that she must always remember that Flay is #1 for Haruto, and that she is the oldest, being with him since he was a baby. Haruto decides to end this conversation and asks them to follow him to go back home. At this moment, Lisa brings out large wings from her back and starts flying behind Haruto in the air, very lightly and easily. But Flay, who doesn't know how to fly, is forced to run on the ground behind them with all her speed to catch up. This situation makes Flay feel even more jealous and annoyed that Lisa has the advantage of flying, which she doesn't have. She decides deep down that she must put in more effort and constantly prove to Haruto that she is the strongest and most important servant in his life, so that no one takes her place. When Haruto takes her home with him and introduces her to his family as a new maid, telling them her whole story completely honestly, his father Zenfis agrees to let her stay in the house, but on one condition. The condition is that she must follow the house rules and never return to her violent nature as a monster. Lisa agrees immediately and becomes one of the maids in the mansion. From her very first day, Lisa starts showing unnatural efficiency and outperforms Flay in everything related to housework. While Flay was breaking brooms, while cleaning the garden, Lisa manages to clean much larger areas in record time and with very high efficiency. Even in washing dishes, which Flay used to break, Lisa finishes huge amounts quickly and perfectly clean. The biggest surprise was in cooking. When Lisa makes food that tastes so delicious, it amazes everyone in the house and makes them fall in love with her cooking. Because of this high efficiency, Haruto's mother decides to promote Lisa, making her the head maid responsible for Charlotte. Of course, Flay is dying of jealousy at this time. The relationship between Lisa and Charlotte starts developing quickly over time and they become very good friends. Lisa starts teaching Charlotte to love reading and also teaches her magic to develop her skills. Lisa discovers that Charlotte has very strong magic abilities, specifically in fire magic. She teaches her how to summon magic fireballs, and Charlotte actually uses her intelligence to create a very giant fireball, amazing Lisa with her power. Over time, Lisa and Charlotte become very close friends and never leave each other for a moment. Haruto watches this development and feels that Lisa is the most suitable and perfect choice to be his attendant, the one who will go with his clone to the Royal Academy. This is because she is strong and smart, and she will be able to help him and save him from any headache there. But at the same time, Haruto is confused because he doesn't want to separate Lisa from his sister Charlotte, after they became very close friends with a strong bond. So he thinks of a genius solution that satisfies everyone without tiring himself out. He decides to use his barrier magic to create a magic door that connects their mansion directly to the Royal Academy. This door allows anyone who opens it and passes through to teleport in the blink of an eye from the house to the school, or vice versa, in just 1 second. This way, Lisa will be able to go with his clone to the academy and at the same time return home at any moment to be with Charlotte and play with her without Charlotte noticing her absence or feeling that she left her. Haruto is very happy with this invention because he guarantees finding someone to serve him in the capital while maintaining his sister's stability and peace at home. After that, we see Haruto's family saying goodbye to him as he goes to the Royal Academy in the capital, thinking that he will actually go live there, but Haruto has a completely different plan prepared. He has prepared a secret house to stay in so no one knows he is sending his clone to school instead of him. Flay and Charlotte go to this secret house to wait for him until his first day is over. Haruto uses his magic door and he and Lisa enter it, finding themselves in a forest near the capital. Haruto tells Lisa that they will walk a short distance to the capital because if they fly, someone might see them and discover their true identity. While they are walking, Lisa notices a dangerous chase happening. A giant bull is running after a horse-drawn carriage, and the people inside are terrified and trying to escape at top speed. Haruto does not hesitate for a second, transforms into the Black Knight character, and flies quickly towards the carriage to save them. At this moment, the carriage wheel breaks, and the bull gets very close to them. A brave girl named Anissa appears, trying to step in and block the bull's attack with her body. But the bull hits her with a very violent strike that sends her flying away, dropping her to the ground injured and unable to move. Right before the bull finishes its attack and lands the final blow, Haruto steps in at the perfect time, saves her, and puts the bull to sleep. He uses his healing magic to treat her wounds, returning her completely unharmed. Anissa is amazed by his power, introduces herself, and tries to thank him for his courage, offering to return the favor in any way. but he tells her that it is his job to save people for nothing in return. He fixes their carriage wheel and leaves them to continue their way in peace. After that, Haruto goes with Lisa to the school. When he arrives, he is forced to stand in a very long and boring line, and then he signs a lot of papers related to joining the academy. When he finishes all these procedures, he goes to his dorm room completely exhausted because all of this goes against his nature, which leans towards isolation. As soon as he enters the room, he creates the magic door that connects his room to the secret house where his sister and Flay are waiting for him. When he goes to them, they ask him about the details of his day. Charlotte gets very excited and asks him to make another magic door taking them to the market in the capital, so she can take a walk and see the place. Haruto agrees to make her happy, creates the door, and they all go to the market, feeling very excited. Then they split up in different directions, and Charlotte walks to explore the capital with Haruto. While they are walking, Charlotte runs excitedly and accidentally bumps into Anisa, whom Haruto just saved a little while ago. When Anisa looks at Haruto, who is not wearing his disguise mask this time, she feels like she has seen him before and asks him, "Have we met before?" But Haruto denies it completely, telling her this is the first time he has seen her. Anisa insists, saying she feels a massive magical energy coming from him and that this feeling is not strange to her. But Haruto convinces her that his power is only level 2 and her feeling must be wrong. Anisa feels extremely embarrassed, apologizes to them, and leaves. Strangely, Charlotte tells Haruto she gets a weird feeling from this girl and that there is something not normal about her. While Haruto is trying to avoid drawing any attention, Prince Laius and Princess Marianne are eagerly waiting for his arrival at the school because they are the main reason behind his invitation and forcing him to be a student there. The reason behind this is that they found out a dangerous secret cult has started to appear in the kingdom. Its main goal is to spread chaos, completely destroy the kingdom, and take over the rule. They are certain that Haruto's power is the only one that can help them eliminate this cult. But while Laius and Marianne are talking and planning, Laius tells Marianne there are very strong rumors saying that their mother, the queen, is the one funding this new cult and supporting it in secret. Suddenly, the queen storms into the room without permission. As soon as Marianne sees her, she goes to greet her, but she is surprised when her mother violently scolds her, grabs her tightly by the neck, and chokes her. The queen says she noticed Marianne looking at the iron collar around her neck, considering this a form of insult, and says no one is allowed to look at her like that. Then she drops her to the ground, trying to catch her breath. The queen leaves Marianne and goes to Prince Laius, telling him she knows he will meet Xenphus' son at the school soon. She orders him to try to get close to him in any way and become his friend, exploiting the fact that he will be alone in the capital to gain his trust. She wants him to pull any possible information out of Haruto that could lead her to the truth about the Black Knight and his weak point, so she can get her revenge. Laius has no other choice but to agree instead of her killing him. While Haruto is sitting comfortably, he receives a summon from his magic clone, who lives in his place at the Royal Academy. The clone informs him that there is an important exam today and he must take it. However, Haruto's only goal is to get expelled from school and return to his bed. So he asks the clone to go take the exam and answer incorrectly to get a weak score and fail. But the lazy clone completely refuses, saying he is tired from all the work and tasks he does and needs to rest. He asks Haruto to go take the exam himself and answer incorrectly however he wants. Haruto agrees to his words and goes to the academy himself. As soon as he arrives, a teacher meets him, confirms he has a test, and lets him into the exam hall. Haruto takes the question paper and starts writing that he doesn't know the answer to all the questions, intentionally failing himself. That is until he reaches the questions about barrier magic. Here he decides to answer with some simple details so no one suspects he is failing on purpose. After that, the teacher tells him the second step is a test to determine his magic power level. Haruto is surprised and tells them they already know his level is only 2, feeling like they are making fun of him. But the teacher convinces him that this is just a routine procedure that has to be done. They take him to another teacher responsible for evaluation, who recognizes him as soon as she sees him. She says, "You are Xenphus' son with level 2 power." He feels embarrassed but tells her, "Yes, that's me." The teacher asks him to put his hand on the magic, measuring crystal. Haruto puts his hand confident that his power is weak anyway, and the number 2 will appear on the crystal. But suddenly, the magic crystal explodes and shatters into tiny pieces from the massive amount of energy that entered it. The teacher stands amazed and in disbelief, telling him that the energy coming from him is way larger than the crystal's capacity, and asks him how his level is only 2. Haruto improvises a quick lie, saying it could be excess energy or the crystal is broken. The teacher looks at his answer sheet, specifically the barrier magic section, and is surprised that his answers are very accurate, scientific, and impressive to anyone who reads them. Based on this, the teacher passes him in the exam and decides to enroll him in the school. Haruto feels extremely frustrated because his plan to fail is ruined. He gets even more depressed when the teacher offers him to join her research team to discover new things in magic, but he rejects her offer and quickly returns to his room, feeling annoyed. He tells his clone what happened, saying they unfortunately passed and have to continue in the school until they find another reason to get expelled. He asks the clone to be the one to go attend the school year opening ceremony instead of him. The next day, the clone gets ready to go to the opening day. At this moment, Charlotte goes to give Haruto's clone a gift, handing him a gun. She tells him to keep it as a backup to defend himself if anything happens. The clone takes the gun and goes to attend the first lecture. After finishing, he goes out and meets the brave girl Anisa, whom Haruto had saved before. When Anisa sees him, she remembers meeting him in the market with his sister, but when she gets closer, she gets confused, feeling that the massive magic energy she felt in him before has completely disappeared and is no longer there. This is, of course, because the clone only has Haruto's memories and possesses no magic energy. While they are standing, the arrogant student Schneidel suddenly appears. As soon as he sees them, he yells and demands they bow to him out of respect, but Haruto's clone completely ignores him, pretending his stomach hurts to escape the situation. Schneidel gets furious, accusing him of making up a lie to escape, and starts attacking him with magic. Haruto's clone tries to run from the attack, but Schneidel shoots a very powerful fireball that hits Haruto's clone, knocking him to the ground. Schneidel thinks he finished him off, but thanks to the protective shield Haruto created for his clone, he survives the strike. The clone pretends to be in pain so he doesn't draw attention, but Schneidel is shocked that a weak student is still able to move after that hit. He loses his temper and decides to use stronger magic to kill both Haruto's clone and Anisa together. At this moment, the clone pulls out the gun Charlotte gave him, shoots Schneidel to protect himself and Anisa, immediately escapes the place, and returns to his room. When he arrives at the room, he tells Haruto everything that happened in detail. Suddenly, a girl comes to inform Haruto that Schneidel sent him a formal duel request, and he cannot refuse this request and must face him. Haruto uses his magic monitoring screens to check Schneidel's room and finds Anisa there, begging Schneidel to cancel this duel, explaining that Haruto only shot him to protect her, but the arrogant Schneidel refuses, cruelly telling her he would only cancel the fight on one condition: if he kills her instead of him. Anisa, completely sacrificing herself, agrees just to save Haruto from this fight. Haruto gets extremely angry when he hears this and decides to step in as the Black Knight. He uses advanced magic to stop time and pulls Schneidel into a parallel world with no one else but them. There, the Black Knight teaches him a very harsh lesson, knocks him to the ground, and places a curse on his shoulder where he was injured. The curse is shaped like a magic circle, similar to an iron collar, causing him terrible and continuous pain. The Black Knight threatens him in a terrifying tone, saying this magic circle will stay on his shoulder, and if he even thinks about getting close to Haruto or Anisa, or tries to remove this magic in any way, the circle will explode, cut his arm off, and kill him instantly. After that, he returns him to his world, completely broken by the pain. When Schneidel's friends try to use healing magic to treat the red mark on his shoulder, the pain only increases, so he screams at them to stop. He surrenders to reality, decides to cancel the duel, and secretly vows to get revenge on the Black Knight. This way, Haruto manages to protect his clone and Anisa, getting his peace back. He decides to get closer to Anisa, who is ready to sacrifice her life for him, and get to know her better. After the news spread that the arrogant Schneidel withdrew from the duel with Haruto, all the students started talking about Haruto and how he managed to make Schneidel back down. This situation annoyed Haruto a lot because he is an introverted person. He didn't want all this noise around him and wasn't happy that everyone in the school was analyzing his abilities. While he is walking in the school hallways to escape everyone's eyes, he meets Anisa. She sees him, approaches him to talk, and thanks him for helping her and hitting Schneidel with his gun to protect her. She continues talking, saying she noticed he has no friends at school and she feels lonely just like him because she is new and doesn't know anyone. She offers for them to be friends. Haruto tries to convince her that he loves isolation and doesn't like having people around him, but Anisa insists on being his friend. Despite his love for isolation, Haruto finds himself agreeing to her friendship, feeling that she won't cause him any annoyance. At this moment, Anisa asks him a direct question, saying, "Are you really the exact same person who was with me yesterday and defended me with the gun against Schneidel?" Haruto is shocked by the question and tries to evade it, telling her he is definitely him. But Anisa tells him she feels a massive magical energy coming out of him, and this feeling was completely missing when she saw him yesterday. Haruto tries to change the subject, telling her that this is just normal energy, she is imagining things that don't exist, and all her feelings are wrong. After that, Anisa suggests to Haruto that they join the school's research team to meet new people and expand their knowledge in magic. At first, Haruto rejects the idea, saying he is not interested, but Anisa insists and tells him she already joined the team of the teacher who tested them on their very first day. Haruto is very surprised and tells her that this teacher is crazy and does weird experiments. But Anisa laughs and says she is fun and that she learned a lot of things from her. She asks him once again to join her. Haruto thinks about the matter and realizes that if he joins this teacher's team, he will have to work with her and listen to her endless talk about research and experiments, which is extremely annoying to him. However, Anisa's persistence makes him agree in the end, and he decides to join the research team with her. Then starts explaining to the students that after this lecture, there will be a practical exam to measure their levels. He feels this is the perfect moment. When he receives the exam paper, he decides to answer all the questions wrong to fail intentionally. But while solving it, 5-year-old child, he gets scared that if he answers them wrong, they will say he did it on purpose, which would cause a bigger problem. So he decides to answer some questions correctly, making his levels seem very weak but not enough to provoke them. But the surprise happens when the teacher collects the paper. Only one walked and feels extremely stupid, realizing he failed again at being a weak student. Based on this outstanding result, at the end of the day, Haruto sends his clone. Loud thud. They go to see what happened and find someone lying on the ground. Haruto gets scared and thinks it's a dead body. They can break it when they reach him. The teacher is very excited by the presence of the Black Knight and asks him many questions, but he ignores her, goes to Schneider, and tells him, "I will break the spell for you." But on the condition to get his revenge on Haruto, Anisa, the teacher, her assistant, and everyone connected to this matter. Schneider decides to hire a group of the most dangerous criminals, giving them a strict order to go to the teacher's lab at night, watching all their movements through his magical monitoring screens, and knew their plan from the very beginning. As soon as the criminals attack the lab, they are surprised to the criminals he sent thrown on the ground around him. Here Schneider is terrified and asks what is happening here. The Black Knight tells him, "These are the men you sent to kill Haruto and Anisa, whom I warned you to stay away from." But Schneider denies it, saying this is the first time he has seen them. So Haruto uses one of his screens to show him Haruto and his friends. Here Schneider feels absolute despair and says that since he is dead anyway, he pulls out a strange syringe and injects himself with it. Suddenly, he turns into a giant, very terrifying monster and attacks Haruto with a massive struggle. Tells him that she will analyze this monster and try to find a way for him to win. Haruto tries to attack the monster with a strong hit to its chest, but it has no effect. Schneider grabs Haruto and squeezes him with both hands to crush him. Here, Haruto uses his magic to grab his arms, push them away, and tie them up. But the monster gets angry, doesn't care, and cuts off his own arms to escape Haruto's magic, leaving Haruto and Charlotte looking on in total shock. Right after that, the monster grows new arms because it has a high regeneration ability. At this moment, a rescue call comes from Charlotte to Haruto. She discovered that every time it regenerates and heals itself, its size shrinks and its skin gets paler. This means that every time it gets injured, it weakens and returns to its normal size. Here, Haruto gets a genius idea. He creates a massive magic cloud full of giant swords and knives, making them rain down on the monster and cut it into tiny pieces. The monster keeps healing itself, and with every regeneration, it gets smaller and smaller until it returns to its human form again. When Haruto approaches to talk to him, he is surprised to find that Schneider has completely lost his mind and turned into an animal-like creature, but with a human body, and his brain is totally fried. He runs away and escapes. Haruto says he will try to look for the syringe later to make a cure and return him to normal. After Haruto finishes this battle, he looks around feeling a massive sense of relief. Not because he saved the day, no, but because now he is certain that his clone is completely safe at the Royal Academy. It will be able to continue its life there without any obstacles or enemies bothering it. During this time, he will be able to return to his bed in the secret house and enjoy his quiet life and isolation once again without any headache.